You're talking, they're attacking, not debating, just unloading. Their voice rises, their words sharpen. Suddenly, you're no longer in a conversation. You're under siege. Every sentence feels like a punch. And for a second, you want to swing back. Hard. But here's the truth. Anyone can snap. Anyone can yell. That's the easy route, the predictable one. The stronger move, stay calm, stay still. Let them burn out while you stand untouched. That's not weakness. That's control. That's stoic power in real time. This isn't about letting people walk all over you. It's about flipping the dynamic. When you don't feed their fire, they're left staring at their own smoke. When you don't react the way they expect, it messes with their script. They start to question themselves. That's how you win without raising your voice. Stoicism isn't passive, it's precision. It's learning how to speak with impact while staying composed. Today I'm going to share 6 verbal tactics grounded in Stoic wisdom that let you handle even the most volatile person with sharp clarity and unshakable calm. And look, I'm not here to give you pretty quotes or spiritual fluff. I'm here to give you tools that work in real life, in the car, at work, at the dinner table, where things get messy. These are tactics for when your hands are shaking, your jaw is clenched, and you're 2 seconds from exploding. That's where Stoicism shows its teeth. Before we dive in, thanks to those of you who've been riding with me. Your feedback, your stories, your energy, this community is proof that composure is a superpower. If this is your first time here, hit the like button, subscribe, and join the crew. We don't flinch, we face it. So here's my challenge. Think of that last heated moment, the one where you felt your chest tighten, where someone disrespected you, misunderstood you, or tried to corner you. Now imagine having the presence of mind, not to run, not to retaliate, but to redirect, to speak with such deliberate calm that it shuts the room down. That's what we're building here. One principle at a time. Let's get into it. Number 1, recognize hidden assumptions. There's a sinister tactic that flies under most people's radar. Questions designed not to seek truth, but to manipulate. They aren't asked to understand. They're asked to corner you, to shove an unspoken belief into your mouth and make it look like you agree. Most don't notice it, and worse, many answer before realizing the conversation was rigged from the start. If you don't catch the trap, you become a mouthpiece for someone else's agenda. I've been there. High-stakes meeting, tension in the air. A colleague I thought played straight turned and asked, "Do we really want to go forward with something nobody supports?" Sounds harmless, right? But that was the ambush. The phrasing presumed failure, presumed that what I backed was already dead in the water. If I had answered directly, I'd have accepted that lie. But I didn't. I looked him squarely in the eye and said, "That's news to me. Who exactly disagrees?" That one question flipped the script. Now he had to justify his claim. What came next was eye-opening. One by one, people spoke, and it turned out that support for the idea was solid. The so-called majority against it was fiction. These subtle plays happen in relationships too. I caught up with an old friend who lobbed this gem. "Do you still believe in those weird ideas of yours?" In one sentence, my worldview was framed as absurd. The bait was there. Defend myself or look like a fool? But why dance to that tune? I smiled and said, "Interesting that you find them weird. What makes you say that?" No defensiveness, no approval seeking, just a mirror held up to their assumption. That flipped the conversation into something deeper. I wasn't weird. They just hadn't stepped outside their own echo chamber. Stoicism isn't about pretending nothing matters. It's about not letting loaded questions and emotional traps hijack your thinking. When someone embeds a judgment in their question, they're trying to write your script for you. A Stoic rewrites it, calmly, sharply, without giving an inch to manipulation. Take the classic family landmine. Do you actually think you're smarter than the rest of us? It's a challenge, not a question. The weak response is outrage or withdrawal. The powerful one? Not at all. I'm just offering my perspective. What are your thoughts? Now you've thrown the spotlight back, stripped out the accusation, and reclaimed your position. That's verbal Aikido. When you call out hidden assumptions, you do more than defend yourself. You shake the foundation of the entire interaction. You refuse to be puppeteered. You demand clarity. You demand fairness. And in doing so, you invite everyone around you to rise to that same standard. Real respect is born in those moments. Here's the raw truth. Most people won't even notice the assumptions they're carrying. They've been conditioned to accept and repeat them. When you call those out, it might rattle them. It might piss them off. That's fine. Growth doesn't come from comfort. You weren't put here to nod politely while your character is quietly rewritten by others. So don't just defend your peace, wield it. Recognize the traps, expose the bait, and challenge the subtext. It's not about being combative, it's about refusing to be complicit. Every time you push back against an assumption, you teach the world that your mind is your own, and that's the most powerful message you can send. Number 2, escape the trap of distorted words. Ever had your words twisted so badly that the conversation spiraled into something you never intended? One moment you're making a simple point, and the next you're backpedaling, trying to untangle a narrative someone else rewrote for you. These aren't just innocent mix-ups. Often they're calculated moves, power plays designed to throw you off balance and steer the dialogue in a manipulative direction. In these moments, silence and steady resolve are your greatest allies. Stoicism doesn't call us to dominate others with louder voices or sharper comebacks. It calls us to master our reaction, to remain unshaken while others try to stir chaos. I once attended a strategy session where a team leader shared a bold plan for improving communication channels across departments. A senior executive quickly reframed it as a veiled accusation, suggesting the leader was blaming others for past failures. The mood shifted. You could feel the tension thicken as the room awaited a defensive rebuttal. But instead of reacting with frustration, the leader leaned forward and said evenly, "That's not what I'm saying. I value the work we've done. This proposal is simply an opportunity to build on it." The shift was instant. By calmly reclaiming her words, she exposed the distortion without escalating the conflict. Her poise spoke volumes louder than any argument ever could. Verbal traps often rely on emotional bait. They dare you to lose your cool, to prove their twisted version right. But when you pause, breathe, and answer with clarity, you deny them that satisfaction, and more importantly, you hold your ground without becoming part of the chaos. Stoics see language as a tool, not a weapon. They navigate tense exchanges by focusing on precision, not provocation. They don't react to insult with insult, they respond with reason. In doing so, they often turn adversaries into participants in a more honest dialogue. I remember a quiet moment between two peers at a workshop. One offered a nuanced opinion about workplace culture, only to be met with a mocking response that oversimplified and ridiculed her point. Instead of snapping back, she asked, "Can you explain what you meant by that?" Her calm inquiry transformed the tone entirely. It challenged the sarcasm without fueling it, and the conversation took a more respectful turn. Watching that unfold reminded me, you don't have to match someone's tone to make your voice heard. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is remain composed when others expect you to unravel. That kind of control doesn't come from ego, it comes from discipline. When someone reshapes your message to suit their narrative, resist the urge to fight fire with fire. Reframe, restate, and rise above. Choose precision over provocation. Not every battle is worth waging, especially when your silence can be louder than their distortion. Ask yourself, what is this conversation really about? Is it about progress or power? If it's about growth, guide it with clarity. If it's about control, decide if it's even worth your breath. As Marcus Aurelius taught, you always own the option of having no opinion. That option often is your peace. Letting others twist your words only works if you give them control of the narrative. Reclaim it, not by shouting louder, but by speaking wiser. When your words are steady and rooted in intention, distortion loses its grip. You don't need to win the argument, you need to hold your center. That's where true power lives. Number 3, handle the storm of questions. There will come a time when someone fires a question at you, not to seek truth, but to trap you. It's dressed like curiosity, but beneath the surface, it's loaded with judgment, baiting you into surrendering your stance or justifying yourself. These aren't honest inquiries. They're subtle power plays meant to unbalance you and provoke a reaction. If you respond without thinking, you're already playing their game. But a Stoic doesn't flinch. He doesn't chase approval or rush to defend his honor. He understands that the power isn't in the question, it's in the response. You can pause, you can pick the question apart, you can answer without giving away an inch of yourself. I remember being in a business roundtable when a peer looked across the table and asked, "So do you actually think that mindset stuff really changes outcomes, or is it just another trend?" It wasn't curiosity, it was a veiled jab. He was looking for an opening, hoping I'd get defensive or fold under his skepticism. Instead, I met his gaze and said, "The results speak for themselves. Discipline isn't a trend, it's survival, but everyone's got their path. What's been working for you?" That ended the performance. No raised voice, no defensiveness, just clarity and control. And just like that, the power shifted back. This tactic works because it refuses to fight on their terms. It dismantles the trap without stepping in it. The moment you recognize the question as a setup, you strip it of its sting. You respond from reason, not emotion. You reframe, reassert, and redirect. It's not just boardrooms or public debates. These moments happen in quiet, everyday settings too. I once saw a man at the gym being needled by someone who said, "Don't you think you're taking this fitness thing a little too seriously?" The jab was laced with insecurity, but the man didn't blink. He simply replied, "I take my health seriously. Everything else falls apart without it." End of conversation. No need to convince. Just facts and self-respect. Stoicism doesn't teach you to retreat. It teaches you to hold your ground with calm force. It teaches you to question the question. What assumptions are baked into it? What traps lie hidden? And whether it even deserves an answer at all. Not every question is worth engaging. Some are meant to pull you into conflict. Don't go. When someone says, "Isn't that a waste of time?" about your goals, your habits, your priorities, you don't have to defend your life to anyone. You can answer with strength, "It's time well spent for me." What you value is your choice. What I value is mine. That kind of response makes it clear you live on your own terms and no one else defines your path. Every time you respond with clarity instead of chaos, you're building unshakable discipline. You're training your mind to stand in the fire without being burned. And those watching, because someone always is, see a man who doesn't bend for approval or break under pressure. In a world obsessed with reaction, stillness is power. When you pause before you answer, when you choose words with precision, when you don't let emotion dictate your tone, that's not weakness. That's control. That's strength forged in silence. The next time someone comes at you with a loaded question, don't swing back blindly. Let them feel the weight of your stillness. Let them realize you can't be baited, cornered, or led. You're the storm's eye, calm, unshaken, unmovable. Number 4, respect the truth and avoid creating a straw man. Have you ever walked into a discussion only to realize the person you're talking to isn't debating you? They're attacking a false version of what you said? It's like shadow boxing with a distorted echo of your own voice. You try to speak clearly, but they twist your words into something you never meant. And suddenly you're defending a position you never even held. This tactic is a weapon of the insecure, misrepresenting your view to gain the upper hand. It's intellectual cowardice. And if you stoop to their level, you lose twice, once in the debate and again in your dignity. I once saw this play out in a podcast debate. A guest made the point, modern relationships suffer when people expect love without effort. The host jumped in, so you're blaming people for wanting healthy love? Number that's not even close, but it made for good drama. The guest didn't flinch. He replied, not at all. I'm saying love is work. Expecting the reward without the effort leads to disconnection. That's different than blaming people. One line, cool tone, and the whole false narrative collapsed. When people can't argue with your real point, they invent a weaker one. That's the game. And the only winning move is to refuse to play. Never let someone drag you into a fight with their illusion. Clarify, recenter, then move on. I once had someone tell me, "You sound like you think emotions are a weakness." That's a straw man built out of laziness. I didn't say emotions are weak. I said they shouldn't control you. That's a fortress of strength, not a denial of feeling. But if I had snapped, they would have owned the narrative. Instead, I said, "No, I believe emotions matter, but I don't believe they should steer the ship." End of story. Every time you respond to distortion with rage or sarcasm, you give away power. But when you correct the falsehood calmly and hold the line with precision, you take that power back. Stoicism isn't silence. It's sharp speech with zero chaos. A seasoned mind knows the difference between winning an argument and defending the truth. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is pause, look them in the eye and say, "That's not what I said. Let's stay with what's actually on the table." Most people can't handle that level of composure. Even more powerful, ask the question they weren't expecting. "Why are you reframing my words that way?" That flips the script. It forces them to face the weakness in their approach without you ever raising your voice. Precision cuts deeper than volume. In the end, truth doesn't need backup dancers. It stands on its own. You don't need to exaggerate, twist, or attack a ghost. Just hold your ground, speak what's real, and let your calm unravel their confusion. That's how a Stoic handles false frames, with truth, poise, and unbreakable discipline. Number 5, use visual imagery to convey a deep message. Have you ever walked away from a heated conversation, realizing you weren't speaking to be understood? You were speaking to defend, to strike, to win? Words become weapons when we forget their true purpose. Not every battle needs a sword. Sometimes all it takes is a lantern. The question is, are your words illuminating or are they just burning everything down? Stoic philosophy doesn't care for ego-driven shouting matches. It teaches that true influence doesn't come from overpowering someone. It comes from opening their eyes. And one of the sharpest tools for that is imagery. Not dry arguments or hollow platitudes, but vivid metaphors that pierce the fog of emotion and reveal something deeper, something raw and real. I remember walking through a quiet European square when I witnessed a father snapping at his son over a small spill. The kid froze, eyes wide, chest sinking, and the father kept hammering him with frustration. I didn't argue. I approached and said, "You know, anger is like shaking a bottle of ink. The harder you shake it, the more it stains everything around it." He paused, looked at his hands, then at his son. Something changed. He knelt down, quieter this time. The metaphor hit harder than any rebuke could have. This is what images do. They don't tell people what to think. They show them what they're doing. And in doing so, they give others permission to change without being shamed into submission. You bypass resistance. You trigger recognition. It's not about winning a debate. It's about sparking an awakening. When someone complains about their fate, angry at forces beyond their control, try saying, "You're like a man screaming at the clouds, demanding they rain elsewhere." Let the image hang. It speaks volumes. It reminds them energy wasted on rage is energy stolen from clarity, from action. And when someone misjudges you or lashes out unfairly, don't escalate. Respond with an image. You know, conversations are like rivers. If all you see is mud, maybe you're standing in the wrong current. That metaphor doesn't accuse. It invites reflection. It shifts the dialogue from conflict to insight. Every word you speak plants something. The question is, are you planting thorns or seeds? Metaphors have the power to soften hardened hearts, to dissolve defensiveness, to reroute someone's emotional trajectory without ever raising your voice. And here's the brutal truth most people avoid. People don't remember arguments. They remember feelings. They remember the moment a single sentence made them see themselves differently. That's the gift of imagery. It sneaks truth past the walls we build and leaves it glowing in the dark corners of the mind. Stoicism isn't about silence. It's about speaking with precision. When your words carry pictures, they carry weight. So stop swinging your opinions like hammers. Instead, become the kind of speaker whose sentences echo long after you've left the room. Number 6, reveal that they have already agreed with you. Ever notice how most arguments aren't really about disagreement? They're about identity, about someone trying to protect their sense of self, their image, their control, and yet right beneath the noise, they might already share your core values without even realizing it. The Stoic move? Don't argue, don't overpower. Lead them gently to the mirror and let them see it for themselves. This isn't manipulation, it's revelation. When you help someone recognize that they've already stood on common ground with you, you're not forcing your perspective. You're reminding them of their own. And in that moment, defenses fall, egos soften, and the conversation becomes human again. The Stoics didn't speak to conquer. They spoke to clarify. They listened to find the heartbeat behind the words. When someone lashes out, they're not always fighting you. They might be fighting fear, uncertainty, or a value they care deeply about. When you catch that value and reflect it back, suddenly you're not enemies. You're allies who forgot you were on the same side. I remember attending a local town meeting where a man went on a tirade about inefficient community policies. His voice was sharp, his tone confrontational. But beneath the complaints, I could hear his care for the town, his desire for improvement. I waited, then said, "It sounds like we both want what's best for this place. We just see different paths to get there." His expression shifted. The storm calmed. The argument didn't end with a winner. It ended with a handshake. That's the secret weapon, exposing alignment. Not by declaring it, but by asking questions that make the other person recognize it on their own. You don't say, "You're wrong and here's why." You say, "Is it possible that we both care about the same outcome, even if we disagree on the process?" That one sentence can dissolve an hour of tension. I once spoke to a friend skeptical about donating to a cause I supported. Instead of countering her points, I asked, "Do you think maybe we're both trying to help people? We just differ in how?" That one question reframed the whole conversation. Suddenly, it wasn't a debate. It was a shared vision unfolding in different forms. Stoicism teaches that truth doesn't need force. It needs clarity. When you guide someone to their own truth, there's no pushback. There's only recognition. A colleague questioning your methods might really be defending quality. A parent resisting your choices might be acting out of love. See through the noise and reflect back the shared value. Sometimes people just want to be heard before they're willing to hear you. When you ask, "Could it be that we're aiming for the same goal with different strategies?" You're planting a flag in neutral territory. You're inviting them in, not boxing them out. This isn't passive, it's powerful. It takes control of the conversation without control of the person. And once someone realizes they've already agreed with you in spirit, there's no ego left to protect, only a conversation left to deepen. The Stoic path doesn't shy from conflict, it elevates it. It turns battles into bridges, tension into insight. You're not dodging truth, you're directing it, and that makes you unshakable. When someone comes at you full of resistance, remember, the truth might already be on your side. Your job isn't to shout it, it's to help them see that it was theirs all along. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you see conflict in a new light, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want more tools like these to stay grounded under pressure, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that calm is a strength, not a weakness. Drop a comment below. What strategy spoke to you most, or which one will you try next time things heat up? Stay sharp, stay centered, and I'll see you in the next video.